In a world, 4 friends, 1 mission, to bring freedom to everyone involved.
Dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Doing a thing for the podcast.
Dude, just say the name.
Fine. It's the Freedom Friends podcast. You smell that, boys? Guess what time it is?
Oh, it's freedom time,
Oh,
baby.
it's fucking freedom time. Welcome, everyone, once again to the Freedom Friends podcast.
Not even close to live
Not
from the
even
beautiful
kind of live.
Warfighter Tobacco Studios. I fucking love it here, man.
We're kind of live. Like we're
Pseudo
alive.
We're alive.
Yeah.
We're alive.
Yeah, we're
Sort of.
alive.
Yeah.
And today is a
At least on the
big,
outside.
big episode. We have a lot to talk about. Mainly, we do have a guest in the studio today, but also it's also Veterans Day, and we had a
I think that's the more important thing to talk about. We'll get to our guest because they are awesome.
Yeah.
But the more important thing is to actually talk about Veterans Day first.
Yeah. So how is first of all, I want to thank all of you for your service.
Oh, no, thank you for your service.
Now, thank
Yeah.
thank you for your service.
Let's do this circle. Come on,
Yeah.
John.
Scott, thank you for my service.
You're welcome for your service.
Jess, thank you for your service.
You're welcome for my service.
Thank you.
Jazz with psyops.
Yeah. Hey, Mikey.
Hi.
Thank you for not doing anything else.
Done.
Yeah.
That's what I do, man. That's what I do.
Thank you for also pushing the crayon market that much more.
I'm trying my best.
So no, in all seriousness,
guys.
to all
30
of our
seconds in, we already got a crayon joke.
there you
Cute.
go.
Yeah.
That's cute, guys.
To all of our
Real
fellow
original.
service members that are out there, the guys that put the uniform on and made it out the other side, fucking thank you guys. You're some of the best friends and best people I've ever known in my life.
Absolutely.
And to all of you, even though the numbers show that there's no fucking way we could have met all of you, thank you all for being our Freedom Friends, because that's what the fuck you are. So,
That's right. That's right. Now, you will notice there is something odd about this episode if you're watching it on YouTube, is that you can't see anything. And there's a reason. That's by design, kids.
I forgot my pants.
That's the main
I am
thing.
sorry.
That's one
for
reason.
that.
Yeah.
And so the rest of us, in
Giggity.
solidarity,
Scott's hog is
decided
just
that
out
none
in
of
the
us would wear
world.
pants.
We didn't want to make like everybody else jealous because this
Is
dude
this-
is hung to his fucking knee, apparently.
Is this the world's first pantsless
Now everybody
podcast?
knows you're full of shit.
Is this the world's first pantsless podcast?
There's no fucking way that's true. There's no way.
I guarantee you
that's
Rogan
true.
doesn't wear pants sometimes. I wouldn't.
Dude, I wouldn't be wearing pants right now if I could get away with it, but
Yeah,
it's
right?
not my
Shit.
building, so
No.
fucking
I don't know. We did drop like 30 degrees in like half an hour here
yeah.
today.
It got
Like,
chilly outside.
Literally, I left my house at like 1:30 and it was 75 degrees out. By the time I got back at 2, it was in its 40s. I was like, what the fuck?
What's fucking bullshit is that I just landed.
Yeah.
Like, I got off the aircraft at like 3 p.m., got home, dropped my bag, got in my car, and drove here to do the show. And it's fucking colder here than it was where I left, and I was in fucking Boston. Like, it is fucking colder here. So anyways, speaking of that flight, that's actually where I met our guest today, which is the whole reason that we've gone dark.
We've gone dark.
And
Incognito and shit.
redacted. It's actually where I met our guest. She is super awesome, and I knew she had to be decent because I knew her all of like 15 minutes, and we were like, should we get drinks? Like,
100%.
Is that where this should go? So, for the purpose of the show, I would like to introduce Sarah Connor,
Hello,
who is
everyone.
here as our guest. And why don't you go ahead, instead of me fucking it all up, why don't you go ahead and explain why that we had to kill the camera and that you're Sarah Connor, so that people understand all of the
Sure.
spookiness.
So, as I was talking to him on the plane, we, started talking about the podcast and all of that, and I said that I had been in the Coast Guard prior, had done intel work, and now work for as an analyst. So.
It's a good thing she has not heard our Coast Guard jokes, or she might not be on this episode.
right?
I've heard all of them. Fuck
Fully
off.
brief her what she's walking into.
$10 says her Coast Guard jokes are better than ours.
Well, they probably are, because none of
Yeah.
us have ever been even remotely close to the
Yeah.
Coast Guard.
I think she might be the first coastie I've
I don't
ever
know.
even fucking
Like,
met.
how do you like?
We are
like,
the unicorns of the
Well, it's
world.
like if you fall off the boat, you just stand up and walk back, right?
Yeah,
It's not
that's
even
that's
deep.
the normal joke. Like, how tall do you have to be in the Coast Guard? 6 feet, so you can stand up and walk back to shore. I'm like, fuck.
See,
Yes.
when I first met Mikey, I thought he was part of the Coast Guard because he talked about all the time he spent on ships.
I'm gonna fucking beat you.
No, I like to talk shit to all the Navy people that, especially that are down here in San Antonio, because they don't ever touch a boat. And so
they're
anytime
all
they want to
corpsmen
call
down
me,
here.
they're corpsmen, and they're also intel people and different things like that. And they're like, oh, hi, Puddle Pirate, hi, Coasty. And then I say, oh, when's the last time you saw a Navy ship? Have you ever been on a Navy ship? No. Oh, well, I have been on multiple Coast Guard
Yeah.
deployments into the Arctic and, chasing drug runners in South America. So go fuck yourself and
There you go.
have fun at your computer.
We
proper
did
response.
give the Coast Guard. We gave the Coast Guard mad props for that video that came out a while back where that dude was punching
Yeah,
the hatch.
the
Submarine.
knockers.
That dude was a fucking. I was like, that guy's a badass. I don't give a fuck what.
My only
he's in.
question on that is why did he not drop a hand grenade in it?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have hand grenades.
See, that's the difference.
Because we're the
That's-
Department of Homeland Security.
That's the difference. See, if that had been a fucking jarhead or an army dude, grenades would have been falling
Right.
from the
We're
sky.
gonna trust you with like top secret everything, but you can't have a
Yeah.
grenade.
No hand grenades.
Yeah.
On the
No
flip side of
grenades,
that,
no
you talk to the
anything.
Army or the Marine Corps, and they're like, "We're not going to tell you dog shit about what's going on, but here's a box of grenades." It's just like,
Good
like-
luck.
Yes.
Sergeant, I don't think I should carry this grenade anymore. I've had it for 8 months and it's falling apart. Shut the fuck up and carry it. Oh, God.
Hey, how do you guys hook these to your LBV or to your vest? Oh, you just
hook the
slip
spoon.
the spoon
You're
inside your
fine.
molly.
You're fucking
Yeah.
fine.
And
You mean-
what's wild about those guys is like I know I have a friend that knows who he is, and I can't remember if he was a BM or an MK. So he's either a boatswain's mate or a machinery technician. That's not his his job day to day. Isn't like I'm gonna train to like jump on top of a
So this is just a random
semi-submersible.
dude that just
That's
was like,
trained
Pissed off
on
American.
boarding. Yeah,
He's just a pissed off American.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's
Fucking
like
awesome.
he's like,
I'm
I'm tired
tired
of
of
these
this
fucking
shit.
assholes. I'm
Right.
kicking in this fucking
Yeah.
hatch.
I want to believe that it's a bosun's mate that was just like blew his whistle, jumped off the fucking boat, and started punching a fucking submarine.
probably was.
It was just
I like
played
how
his little fucking
he
song. and just-
start the story. He just blew his fucking whistle.
He's like, sweepers, man, your fucking brooms. And he just jumps off and starts dropping elbows on the thing.
And he's
Whether he
saying
was
it-
or not, he's a fucking bosun's mate now. The dude just like went toot toot, motherfucker, and jumped off the boat, started punching a sub.
He also 100% has to be a boatswain's mate because he said alto su barco, which is not the correct way to say like stop your vessel. Like alto is not the. Everybody was like,
Alto.
well, alto. Like,
No, he was talking
all
about the
how
key.
white are you, bro?
Soy de los Estados Unidos.
I think he was talking about the musical key, man. That's how you know it was a bosun's mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Toot. That sounds like an alto.
Now that we completely interrupted your story.
Yeah.
No,
I don't even
so
know where we left off.
Squirrels. We talked.
Squirrels.
We warned
So-
you about squirrels.
So-
secret squirrels, right?
You are Sarah Connor, and we're not running the camera because you are currently operational with.
Redacted.
Correct. Yeah.
So we are.
As far as we got into it was she said she was in the Coast Guard and then it went fucking downhill.
Yeah. Then as soon as she mentioned the Coast Guard, it was all over. But
Yep.
that's the reason for all of the super secret
Cloak and
squirrel
Dagger.
shit that we're doing. The Cloak and Dagger games, which here we didn't change your voice or anything. We're just like, just turn the camera off. It's
Right.
fine. Because
Don't tell too many stories.
How did you go
Because-
from the Coast Guard to actually elaborate on like your time in the Coast Guard and then how you
Well, you said you
how
were-
you got
you
to
did
where you
intel.
are today?
So I did intel, but actually, obviously, the Coast Guard's a little bit different. So you can you graduate from boot camp, and then you choose what rate you want to do. So as long as your ASVAB scores are high, then or like whatever they need to be, non-boatswain's mates.
so
You can
all Coast Guard is open contract like that.
yeah.
My,
So
my boy's going through that right now.
right.
That's
So
fucking weird.
you
Kind of cool.
go to boot camp, and
I
then
respect that.
you choose what rate you want. Sometimes the wait's only like a couple months, sometimes it's a couple years. So I got in 2009 when no one was getting out, so the wait lists were super long. So it took me 2.5 years as an E3, just hanging out as a seaman, stationed in middle of nowhere, Michigan.
What do you do for those 2.5 years? What's
So
your day?
so for those 2.5 years, I was what we call a non-rate, and they kind of have something similar in the Navy if you decide to go undesignated. So you're non-rate, and I was doing so stationed at a search and rescue station. So I got qualified as like a watch person that if somebody came in or called in on channel 16 like for an emergency, you're kind of the 911 operator on the water, and you're directing like our boats and the helos and like any other people that are responding. So I got qualified in that first. You do that first, then you get qualified on like boat crew. And so how to pull people out of the water when you're doing search and rescue, how to do towing, how to do firefighting, how to do like all kinds of stuff if you come up to a boat that's like in need of assistance, right? And so you do all that. I'm also doing like training with the helos, like dropping. If you say like a lot of times we'd get, especially up there, it's a lot of old people like fishing, and somebody might have a heart attack, so you're like racing out there, and you'll call the helo, and the helo would drop like the Stokes litter or whatever, and you'd put them in it and then like take them off that way. So we did that, get trained on that. Then it got so cold up there that we'd go into ice rescue season, so we'd train. We had super cool stuff for that. Train how to do except it was cold and miserable.
It gets better because she actually, when we were coordinating her showing up, she was actually telling me that she spent some time in the Arctic.
Yeah, that was deployments after that. But
No.
so
If I was in the Arctic, I'd be totally okay with doing cold weather shit and cold water shit and stuff like that.
right.
But I'm in the fucking United States and they want me to go climb under some ice and save somebody.
Yeah.
Bro, you shouldn't have been out there in the first place.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't get cold enough
Right.
here.
Maybe you cut your fucking fishing hole a little smaller next time, there, Chief.
Or don't go out on the water when it's 50 degrees and the ice is melting and you're
Turn
like,
the heat down
"Ooh."
in your fucking shack. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
come on.
right. Shit.
Or drive your snowmobile drunk onto the ice. Not always the smartest thing.
Sounds like a good time.
Sounds
though.
like a good
it sounds right.
Right. So
Yeah.
got qualified in that.
How many
and
Marines
then,
did you rescue off the ice? I'm just curious.
There's probably
So
there's
here's the
probably a
wild
number of
thing.
them.
Here's the wild thing. Never rescued anyone off the ice. They would never call us. They'd call 911, and then 911 would forget to call us. So we never got used for any. We just trained for it all the time, had the best equipment, and then nobody calls us. Typical,
Sounds right.
Sounds right.
Par for the course.
Par for
sure.
the course.
So we have this amazing asset that we could use that could do this flawlessly. Fuck that. Let's do it the hard way.
right.
Let's call the
that's how they
sheriff's
elected
department,
to-
That's
and they're going to
fucking-
throw a rope out there, and
That is-
somebody's going to
that's,
die.
That's how they elected to
Bureaucracy
use
at
the
its
snipers
finest.
too.
Yep.
Like we have this asset, but let's not use them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What was
You know,
your,
Marine Corps State Platoon always said the same thing. They were just like, they never fucking use us.
I think it was your second deployment, right? And that your rules of engagement were, as a sniper,
Yes,
you can't engage somebody unless they shoot at you.
Yes, but they would put us out every night. So like
You're
I'm like,
1,500 meters away.
wait, are
Nobody
we
knows you're there.
supposed to stand up
But don't
with,
shoot unless they
with
shoot at you
flashlights and do jumping jacks, or why the fuck don't we just go back to Iraq and sleep because that's what we're accomplishing?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So did ice rescue. Then we have like boarding team members. So that's when you are actually carrying. And so we would just go out and board what we call mom and pop boarding. So just making sure people had their life vests, weren't too drunk, had flares, had their whistles. Like
So
their
you
boats
joined the
weren't gonna
Coast Guard
sink.
and learned how to be a pirate.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
It's pretty cool.
And I fucked up.
You're like, I didn't know that it was like all open contract like that. I kind of respect the shit out of that, man. Like, hey, look, you're going.
Okay.
And then, because you get a
If
little
there's
bit better of
any-
a feel
If
about
there's
what
any
you want to
coasties
do.
that have
That's
listened
pretty
to
cool.
this show and I said anything that you were like, fuck you, man, I fucking apologize because apparently
Yeah.
I was incredibly fucking
Yeah.
uneducated.
Maybe this
You
is
want
the
to be
whole...
Ashton Kutcher and be a rescue swimmer? You can. You want to go
No, I couldn't.
You want to, you
I
know,
could if I
I
wanted
couldn't
to,
be
I
Ashton Kutcher.
you do whatever you want.
I couldn't do that.
He's
I
a
couldn't be
folder,
Ashton
not a
Kutcher.
single.
Now, if you told me I could go all Field of Dreams on that shit, I might fucking.
But
Yeah.
I feel like this is like
got
the,
a mad
the Coast
man
Guard's
crush
like the
on
best kept
fucking-
secret, right?
Yep.
Like, you don't really know what it's all about until you're already done your service. And then you talk to somebody who's made fun of forever.
Yep.
And then you get all the info and you're like, fuck. But then everybody you try to tell, they're like, oh, no, bro, I want to go do the cool shit. Like, yeah, join the Coast Guard. They're like, yeah, right. I'm like, oh, I tried.
Like,
You want to be a? They need to change their fucking commercials because they'll be like, "Want to be a pirate and punch a submarine? Join the Coast Guard." You'd be like,
right? Like,
fuck.
dude, I remember when I saw that video of that dude punching the sub, I was like, Coast Guard numbers just went through the fucking roof.
Yeah, they had to.
I was like, there's
They
no
had
way
to.
Now,
that
what did you
nobody's.
call it? A semi-submersible?
Yeah, it's
Is
a
that the-
semi-submersible because it can't fully submerse.
Yeah.
So when
like a-
everybody, like all the
fucking
late
banana
night
boat.
guys were like, why didn't this dude just go underwater and then we wouldn't have found him? No, how those work is
So the
they
whole idea is
stay
just to keep the profile just
really
really fucking
low. And those they're obviously they paint them blue. So in the ocean they're very hard to spot. They only go 8 to 10 knots, but they are full. Like I can't remember how much came off of that one. Probably 1,000 to 2,000 kilos of cocaine. So you're talking 100 and something
That's a
million
whole lot of
dollars.
strip assault.
Yeah. That is 2,300 pounds of nose candy for
And
those of
you're
you that
only-
don't know what kilos are.
That's a
Like,
good
that is-
weekend.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And so once I finally got done, waiting to go intel, then I got to go intel. Got stationed down here, but and part of that, you also get to go out on those cutters that are doing that stuff. Nice. And so behind that cool guy, you know, pounding on the door is an intel person in the Coast Guard being like, hey, we've got all this information from NSA or from other agencies and other sources. We think we should go here, and there should be a semi-submersible blah. And that's kind of what we do. So half the time when I was stationed in the Coast Guard after I got into intel, I would be down here working kind of in that environment. And then the other half of the time, we were out underway with the teams trying to find some of those guys. I wasn't out, like, I was still in when I helped get some of those like semi-submersibles and some of those boats, but they used to not use them as much. They started using them more because we were catching way more of what they call the go fasts. Right. And those are just those, they put,
the
two twin engine,
they take the
like
cigarette
Miami
boat and just fucking blast across. Yeah.
And so they got tired of those because we could spot them very easily, and then they wouldn't stop. So then we also have these awesome like shooters in the helos, and their job is, if they don't stop, they shoot warning shots in front of them, in front of the boat.
There's another
if
difference.
They continue,
no
right,
warning shots.
Yeah,
for
we
us.
can't. We can't.
We're not allowed to
we
do
can't
that.
shoot.
Well, they're
people on
supposed to
purpose.
be. Coast Guard is supposed to be a non-lethal force, right? Like,
Correct.
it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Just,
Well, I've always
it's the
explained it.
life-saving service.
That's what I've always said. We're life-taking, they're life-saving.
Exactly.
You know,
and
that's-
I've now switched roles, but
Yeah.
that's for later. But so, so they will like fire warning shots, stop, no, won't stop. So then they're like able to just shoot rounds straight into the engines. And I remember they brought back like the casing of the engine that he shot straight through it, and they like gave him the little bracket, and we brought one of the guys on board, like one of the detainees, and he's like, he can't speak English, but he spoke enough English to be like, your pilot, good shot. We'll tell him.
When even the bad guys are like, oh, fuck, that was a hell of a shot.
We're messing with the Coast Guard today. Yeah. Yep. So,
Like all these stories I heard about the Coast Guard.
So Coast Guard was 8 years, 9 years, something like that, based on the dates you threw out.
6
years.
Yeah.
And then it was straight into the.
Redacted.
Did you have a gap?
A little bit of a gap. Worked as a contractor for about 8 months up in DC for another group of people.
Redacted.
Redacted.
And got to do some cool stuff with them. But yeah, I wanted to come back as a civilian. Civilian is just contractor work. Obviously, you get paid more. But the stability isn't as great.
Mikey
and
did some trigger contracting.
Nice.
And I miss that paycheck.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, when I was just out, obviously in Baghdad, I got to hang out with a lot of like former, SEALs and Rangers and all those guys that are now pretty much, they just get paid to call what we call like tactical Ubers. So, they're just in the cars.
That's
like,
what I did.
Yeah. So
it's
make good money for sure.
Yeah. The money was right, man. Money was definitely green. But
I think the other day, John, he texted me. He's like, hey,
Yes.
private contracting in Mexico. You interested? I'm like, you boys want to go to Mexico?
you boys want to go to Mexico?
I was like, well, we could hire some guys to keep Warfighter running for us, and we can go on vacation for a little bit.
Come back and have some good stories to tell.
Yeah.
But
Really?
I would be more
They're
afraid.
contracting kinetic work in Mexico?
I would be more afraid of fighting the cartel than I would be the
100%.
Iraqis.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, fuck
Yep.
yeah.
I read some
ruthless.
They are
articles about.
ruthless.
They're funded.
I read some articles about
Well
how
funded too.
the private military companies would be the best fit to kind of tackle that fiasco.
Oh, I know. That's how some of the Blackwater boys came back to the surface.
Yeah.
Was, look, if you need we're not really going to ask questions, we're just going to do kinetic work kind of group, Blackwater boys are probably the guys you want to call.
Or Freedom Friends.
Or the Freedom Friends.
I mean,
We'll get the job done.
We could get a van in a heartbeat. I'm just saying.
I'm telling you.
We could
We
get
got
a van
funny
real
story about
fucking
a van.
fast.
we got Overwatch covered. John and I'll kick doors. You can provide intel and shit.
As long as
We
I
got
can,
a fucking solid squad here.
as
man.
long
We
as-
just happen
as
to
I
have just
can-
met a new analyst.
That's
So
right.
That's good.
as
Yeah,
long as
I'll
I
stay
can
in the
walk to
truck.
my position, I'm okay.
I don't.
I need a vehicle.
I don't think it would take long for the Freedom Friends to spin up a contracting company. Like I think that would.
I will request a grenade though, because if I'm by myself and it's time to go, like
You know what? You know what? we'll get you 2 grenades.
That's right. That way you can at least take
But
some
take
fuckers
some
on
people
the
with
way.
me. Yeah.
One of them on the front. One of them we're gonna have to rig up like we used to have to carry it. The other one we'll just hand it to you.
Just
You can do
hand,
whatever
like-
you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the ones we had to carry, you literally had a strip of electrical tape around the spoon, and then a strip like 2 wraps around the fucking pin.
So in order to throw the
So
motherfucker,
if you ever got in a situation like where it wasn't planned and you had to use it,
Yeah.
you're probably gonna die.
You're
Yeah.
dying. You're for sure gonna die.
remember the first day I got issued a Marine? There you go.
Why is the grenade Tiffany blue?
This is Merry Christmas.
Oh,
It's
it says
a
Merry Christmas.
It definitely does.
Son of a bitch. There you go.
There you go. There's your
All
grenade.
right, so if you
Well,
want to
now
know what
I'm-
it's like to walk around with those, take the spoon and hook it on your pocket. No, the spoon,
Yeah.
the blade part.
Oh, this.
That right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
hook it on your pocket.
Again, I was in the Coast Guard.
Yeah. There you go.
there it
That's
is.
it.
That's pretty
Don't
good.
lose it.
And
Yeah.
by the
Yeah, but
way,
it's like having another.
And then when
booth.
you're walking around, all the little kids are going, Mister, grabbing on your shit. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I used to offer it to them. They'd be like, Mister, give me $1. I'd be like, here you go. We're going, no, Mister.
No, mister, not that.
Take it, dude.
Yeah. take
No,
it.
Pull it
mister,
right
no.
here, dude. Just
Stop-
take it.
stop
Fucking
grabbing
honest.
me.
No.
I can't believe you have a Christmas grenade. That's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, with Tiffany Blue.
That was
I
fucking
Tiffany's.
amazing.
It was
All
gonna
girls like
originally it was
Tiffany.
gonna start out as a
Easter egg.
Easter egg, but then we were close to Christmas, so
That's fucking fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, got
Yeah, I
did
noticed
a few years in the Coast Guard.
Notice that too, did you?
Knowing these motherfuckers.
hey, redacted.
She's not with the ATF.
No,
So you did have some deployments while you were in the Guard,
I did. Yeah, so I did
and that's Coast Guard.
a
not
couple. Right, not the
Not-
Guard. Yeah.
The Guard.
Not that guy.
Yeah, did 2 like doing the drug running stuff down in South and Central America, and then 1 up to the Arctic, and
Which one do you like better?
1 over to this last one was a real rough. Whenever I tell any of my friends that are like, you know, other branches this story, they're like, what? This is when they really say I joined the wrong fucking service. So we did a 3-month deployment where we did RIMPAC in Hawaii, which is
Marines.
yeah,
Did
it's
you guys fight
30.
those giant alien robots?
Yes, 100. Yes, we did. So 30,000 sailors. Anybody that doesn't know what RIMPAC is, it's 30,000 sailors from all over the world converge into Pearl Harbor, and it's just a big party. And like you play sports against each other, you hang out and have dinners and all of this stuff. Well, we were the only like Coast Guard ship. They always have a Coast Guard
Except the fucking
cutter
Marines
there.
have to sit there and do amphibious assaults the
Yep.
entire fucking
you-
time while
you
everybody
were
else
the
is having a good
token.
time.
Yeah, we were the token Coast Guard in the huge group of people. So yeah, you pull into Pearl Harbor for a few weeks, then you go out to sea and play war games for like 3 weeks.
Gator
then you
squares.
pull back in for another like week, and then it's over. And then you know, we're talking to all these Navy guys, and they're like, yeah, this is kind of just the beginning of our 9 months, you know, out to sea. I'm like, oh, well, we're leaving and going to Tahiti for 3 days, then we're going home. What? Yeah. So I spent pretty much the summer of 2014 in Hawaii.
How
Joined the
long
wrong
does
and
it take?
then went to
uniformed service.
Tahiti.
So where did you go out of? Where did you leave to go to Hawaii?
It's out of, we've got cutters out of Alameda,
Which state?
San Francisco, California.
state?
Hawaii?
Yeah.
No, where did you leave out of? So
Yeah.
how long does it take you to get from San Francisco to Hawaii?
I think it was like, well, when we came back, I jumped off in San Diego, so it did take. Well, it took us probably 7 days from Tahiti back to San Diego.
Yeah, so it usually takes about five days
Yeah,
from Pearl
5
Harbor
days
to San
to
Diego.
yeah.
Nice.
Because I've done
Yeah.
that trip a couple times.
Zero water experience.
Yeah.
I was
Right.
curious.
That's,
Yeah.
that's our world.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, about 7
Don't
days
try
from
and-
Tahiti.
Get close. Like you were hanging out in fucking Tahiti.
Now
That's
he's
our
all
world.
cool with the Coast Guard.
I don't know, the Coast Guard. They're
No,
like
no,
the-
I was Department of the Navy. Goddamn it!
I've done fucking
they're
fucking
pretty much-
RIMPAC.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the same fucking thing. They're like the cousins. They're like the cousin you love. You only see them once a year, but they're fucking great. We hang out with them all the fucking time.
That's not true at all. You're a fucking asshole. Fucking, I've done RIMPAC, and while everybody was partying, Marines have to do fucking amphibious assaults the whole fucking time. And
So
I'm
in
just
other
like,
words, her RIMPAC experience and your RIMPAC experience
some
have
experiences
nothing to do
will
with
differ,
each
yeah.
other.
I think we
Yeah.
get to go in for like one night, and like we enjoy like a little bit of a party, and then they're like
Yep.
back to work, bitches, and we're like fuck. But I think I told a story about Coasty Steve on the pod. On
You did.
prior,
You did tell a
prior
story
once.
about
My
Coasty
only
Steve.
other experience with Coast Guardsmen was I did
That
Fleet
apparently
Week.
you're all fucking loaded and will cover the bar tab wherever you go.
So I did Fleet Week. I'll dumb it down because since you guys already heard this shit, but I did Fleet Week in Seattle.
Oh, cool.
And on my way up to Seattle, we stopped in Everett, Washington, and I walk into a bar, me and 3 other Marines, and there's like this big guy about to punch this little guy in the face. So I grab this big guy and I throw him against the wall, and I'm like, fuck out of here, dude. Like, you're like twice this guy's size. What's your problem? And the guy's like, fuck you, man. And then about that time he turned around, there's 4 of the Marines standing around me. I'm like, you sure you want to play, bud? And he was just like, all right, I'll leave. So I was like, buy him a beer before you leave. And so he bought this kid a beer and he fucking left, right?
Yep.
Well, the guy was like, oh, dude, the guy was real, like, cool. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm in the Coast Guard. You guys going up to Seattle? And I was like, yeah, man. And I was like, well, here, take my number. And we exchanged numbers. And we get up there and we were partying. And a friend of mine was dating or was married to a Navy recruiter up there. And she had gotten me like these VIP passes through all these like hookups that her husband had. So we were like VIP in this bar drinking our faces off one night. So I called him up, put him on the list.
It's the dumbed down version.
And he showed up. It's the dumbed down version. Basically, he showed up. We racked up like a $2,500 bill. And he was like, no, I'll cover it. And I was like, no, you can't do that, dude. I'm not going to let you. And he's like, it's fine. And he showed me his bank receipt. And he had like $400,000 in the bank. And I was like, what the fuck?
Round.
I was like,
He did drug seizures all by himself.
Yeah.
right? I was
He
like,
probably took one of those kilos
what
off
the
the boat.
fuck?
And
His
which that's happened before, where chiefs have gotten kicked out of the Coast Guard, racking up bills and we do all these port calls like in between chasing the drug runners, and I can't remember if they were in Panama or somewhere. And this chief went into a strip club and racked up a few $1,000 bill and said, oh, I don't have the money, but if you wait, like, I will go back to the ship and get you like a kilo.
Key?
Yeah,
Just hand it off?
he was just gonna give him, and I mean, obviously that club like called and said,
Apparently the barter system is alive and well.
Yeah.
shit.
No, apparently it's
it
not.
did not work. It did not work out well for
this
that
dude
guy.
ended up being like one of Bill Gates' partner's sons. Like a founding investor of Microsoft, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't get my trust fund unless I join the military, so I joined the Coast Guard." And
So then how did he get his
smart.
Then how did he get his trust fund?
Super.
He
smart.
didn't, but he got an allowance,
He
and
was
his
getting
allowance was
enough
like
money.
$100,000 a
Right.
fucking month or something
Yep.
stupid.
I
But
met a
if
few
he didn't
people
get a
like
trust fund
that,
unless you joined the military.
but he's still getting tons
But
of money.
Coasties aren't DOD.
I know.
So he actually didn't join the
Well,
military.
he found a fucking loophole that it was good enough for Dad.
So he wore a uniform.
Listen,
Yeah.
I still have a DD-214. Suck it.
Bitch.
All right, well played. All right, fine. Well played, Coastie.
Actually, Jess, do you have a DD-214?
I do now.
Oh,
I got that shit squared away.
Finally.
Fix that.
Fucking no. So
They'd kick you out or something.
no. No. So
Thank you.
when I first exited the military, I exited the military.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah, pretty much. And so when I exited, it was just kind of like, sign here. So I did, and they were like, you good? And I was like, yeah, I'm fucking good. And I fucking left. So I had already had my civilian career stood up, and I was working that. And so I really didn't do the whole keep great records kind of thing that was going on.
Yep.
And it wasn't until several years later of my separation and stuff that I was really started getting involved with the veteran community and really got back involved with it. And I stepped away for a while and was
Right.
very much the proud civilian, and now I've gotten back into it. And so then opportunities and partnerships and stuff came along that kind of was like, hey, we need a duty
Jameson
214 for
snow
this.
cone?
And I was like, well, I used to have this really cool brown jacketed file that had all that shit in there. And I have no idea what happened to it. And then I went through a pretty rowdy divorce where a lot of my shit kind of got left behind.
Super. Yeah, I gotta
And
go.
so yes, you asshats, I got access to that portal where you can fucking
know
do
how
the
much
whole
Jameson
I
I'm
request
pouring
all my
right now.
documents between this date and this date, and I fucking
Like a
got
Got you all.
everything.
Squared away.
So yes, I do have one now, and I have separation orders, so I have both.
Nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
I was a complete and total shit show from about 6 months before I got out of the military until maybe about last week. But that was the one piece of paper that I always knew where it was.
The DD214.
Like the rest of my life, I had no
Nope.
fucking idea what was
Do you know
going
what I think
on,
it
but
was?
I knew my DD214.
So seriously,
that
think-
and my fucking divorce decree from my first marriage.
I know where that is. I know where the divorce decree is.
Yeah, dude, that's the two that I keep.
So I'm guessing
I have a
that
copy-
all of you guys are divorced because that's just statistically.
No.
20 years.
Wow.
No,
In the
this-
infantry.
just
this
hit 20
dude-
years. He is an
Wow.
anomaly over there.
Yeah, and he's straight infantry, and she was with him while that all was going
Yeah,
on
it's
too,
his-
and they're still
His
fucking talking
So
together.
Scott and
She's
I
a
were
saint.
Scott and I were in the same platoon.
She is actually
So no.
Very
no.
tolerant.
The whole
not
reason
a
it
saint.
works is that she's not a saint.
Yeah.
Like that's
Oh,
why.
right.
She was our
She runs the shit.
she was our
don't-
platoon mom.
Don't mistake that for the fact that she's not. She is a wonderful woman, and she's absolutely fantastic, and I always love talking to her. But the whole reason it works is that woman is very much not a saint and has no problem going, sit down and shut the fuck up, and I'll handle this. And he's just like, yes, ma'am. It's just-
Sometimes.
but no, I was kind of and not to sound like totally fucking pompous, but I think the big reason was when I separated because I already had the civilian career going and it was paying well. I didn't give a fuck about all like the benefits I could have and
Yeah,
shit.
like-
Weird flex, bro.
Yeah,
Right?
Weird
like-
I'm
flex.
sorry.
I know that shit.
I couldn't get past the part where it says not to sound pompous.
That's like I don't mean
No,
to be
but
a
I think it
bitch,
was, is it was
but
just
I'm
like-
about to be a bitch.
I was young enough that I thought I like really had the world by the balls because I was like getting a good paycheck and everything. That I was just like, fuck, I don't need all this veteran shit. Fuck off. And so I like walked off, and then like that shit didn't last, and it was like,
When's Veterans Day again? I need that meal.
That's one thing I've never fucking really been into. Like I don't like getting the free
I don't do
meals
the free
and
shit.
shit. I don't do it either.
We used to because the only reason we
because you were
did-
broke as fuck.
No, we had a group of us in Nebraska that would get together and go out together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. The only
But
thing, my
we
only
didn't
beef
like
with it
just
was
walk into a place and get the free meal and be like, thanks, and leave.
Yeah,
Like,
you get
we
some
got
beer,
together, we
get some
ate, and then we probably
drink.
had
Chill.
Yeah.
fucking
Right,
They
so-
made more money off
so
of
the
us by
place
giving
threw
us
a
a free meal than
The,
anything.
the place threw a free burger at you, and then you're like, everybody had a $150 bar tab
Exactly.
later. So
Yeah.
it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, the restaurant
We
made
still
$2
do
grand
the
because
same
we
thing.
walked in here, so fucking it was worth it.
That's cool with me. Like that's fine.
I'm
But,
fine
like,
with that.
I had my buddy Larry, and I'll call you the fuck out, Larry, you maniac. This dude used to go, and he would hit like 6 or 7 subways.
Oh,
He'd have like
And
a
he would-
list.
God.
And he would,
God.
but he would ask him to fucking put the meat separate. So he would just have the bread and the meat separate, and that was like his lunch for the whole fucking week. He'd bring Subway sandwiches in. I was like, "You're such a piece of shit."
Get a job,
Dude,
Larry.
dude, he was still active
right?
duty. He
Fuck
was
you,
still on
Larry.
fucking
Did a
active duty. and was
See, that
doing
doesn't
it.
count, man.
He's got too many dependents taking all his money.
If you're
Then
still
telling you.
wearing the fucking uniform, not to be a dick, but today's not for you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Fucking that's Armed
This is-
Forces
this is-
Day, motherfucker.
This is our shit.
fuck off.
This is our
You
shit.
have your own day.
I saw somebody.
A,
They were
man.
like, we shouldn't say Happy Veterans Day because all those that lost. I was like,
That's
no,
Memorial
I think
Day,
You're mixing
wrong
up
ass
fucking
hat.
Memorial Day,
Wrong day.
fuck
Yeah.
face.
This
You
is
can
happy
say-
fucking Veterans
Yeah,
Day.
all right.
It's
I'm
happy
happy
fucking
that I'm a veteran.
Do you know why?
and I'm
Because every
fucking
veteran
happy.
gets out and goes like, "Let's fucking drink and smoke, boys." Like that's
This is the one day a year where I can do it and nobody can fucking make fun of me.
shit,
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, oh, you're fucking alky. No, it's Veterans
It's
Day.
Veterans
Veterans
Day.
Day, bitch.
It's our national
That was
holiday.
yesterday
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
tomorrow.
It is
not
Veterans Day.
today.
Yeah. When did you and I start drinking together?
It's Veterans Day, and we started drinking together at about 12:30 Eastern.
Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, and
That's when we
had met
on a plane.
about 12:30 Eastern, and it was like,
Yeah.
Hey,
hey, I'm going to San Antonio. Yeah,
while we're
oh, I'm up
talking
here.
about this, what's everybody drinking tonight, boys?
Hey, that's a good call.
Ah.
We'll start with the guest. What are we drinking tonight?
Because
sir?
I brought it up because I respect her choice. I
Yes,
respect the choice,
so-
and you had to like basically smuggle it here
I did. Yeah, we smuggled it. Let's not talk about that.
because it's not available here in Texas.
Don't come get me.
No, it's
she
not
knows,
illegal.
she knows some
Uh,
coasties that
yeah.
way.
Yeah,
Fucking-
it's not illegal.
I've
So
heard some
since I
things.
go back and forth to the East Coast a lot for work and things like that, every time I go, I do like to bring back Yingling. So I'm drinking a Yingling Light because I had Orange Crushes earlier, and then I had what we like to refer to as skinny bitches on the plane,
Yeah,
Oh, vodka
which
Cokes?
is
Vodka
nope.
Diet?
she was vodka
It is-
cranberry.
It is
They were pink as fuck.
Tito's, club soda, and a splash of cranberry. That is a skinny bitch in the world of the intelligence community.
Well, that's a vodka soda splash of cran to me.
Yeah. Because
Vodka Diet is a skinny
That's a
bitch.
skinny
Yeah.
bitch. Yeah, that's
Vodka
what it's.
Diet
That's the
is a
name of the
skinny
drink.
bitch. Yeah.
We happen to know somebody whose favorite drink is a vodka diet.
And we make fun of him a lot.
Oh, yeah, he
yeah.
was talking about that on the plane. Yeah,
Now,
so
skinny bitch.
Yingling for me.
the only
Yingling
part
Light.
of that title that applies to him though is bitch.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So,
And he may or may not listen to this show, so you fucking know who I'm talking about.
you've made it through the Coast Guard,
Yep.
but I think we have a little bit of a story to
Literally
go.
nobody discussed what they were drinking.
All right, so the rest
Yeah,
of us
the
are
rest-
drinking Jameson.
Yeah.
The rest of us are all drinking Jameson.
So,
For those of you listening
typical.
at home, we all started drinking a little bit earlier than normal today.
Because it's Veterans
Because
Day.
Veterans
Veterans
Day.
Day.
We didn't have
I'm
to go to
missing a
work.
fucking hangover, man. I had the Marine Corps birthday this weekend. So
Oh, yeah.
You know
got
what's fucked
fucking-
up is I had the Marine Corps birthday this weekend, and I'm not even a fucking Marine.
Yeah, dude, I got fucking
So-
shellacked.
Same.
While we're
Thanks
on
for
the
the phone
subject,
call,
so
Mikey.
we'll get all the mandatories for the show out of the way since Sarah gave an awesome introduction to who she was. What's everybody smoking? So we'll get all the business out of the way here.
Oh.
Fucking,
Scott and I are smoking Redacted.
It actually is redacted.
It is. These
really?
are
Are these
a.
fucking test blends you didn't call me? I will
Well.
fucking fight you.
These are a blend we've been working on for a little while now.
Sons of
No,
bitches.
this blend got dropped like a bad habit.
It did.
Yeah.
This got dropped worse than a fucking $2 hooker on
Yeah.
a cold street corner.
This is just something we got to get rid of.
We'll give you one after the show to smoke it, but we probably
fair.
won't go with this.
I mean, if it's a fucking dog rocket of a cigar, then I'd.
No, but these have also been aging for almost 3 years now.
Are they aging
So-
out okay?
They're gonna now they taste okay, but
Yeah.
Before they
Mikey,
weren't great.
what do you got over there?
I went with the 762 Field, which I believe is a Sumatra.
oh, you got it.
Right?
Hey,
Nailed it.
Ooh.
Learning's occurring.
Jeez,
Yeah.
you're better than half the employees we've had.
Yeah, fucking. This is my favorite one.
Dude,
of
I've
your
been smoking
guys's.
their shit since like fucking April, and I still can't get their fucking name.
Don't get me wrong. This is the only one I know the name of. All right. I think that and the Oscuro Maduro is the 762
No, 50 Garrison.
50 Garrison. Yeah. Because that's the ones the Minutemen are as well.
Yeah.
So that's like the only two that I fucking know.
Every time either one of them asks me what I want to smoke, I'm like the bronze one,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna fuck the name up. so.
All you guys need to know is just a rapper. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm.
I just happen to really like fucking Corojo rappers, so it's
Yeah.
just fucking. It is what it is.
I don't know what I'm smoking, but I like it.
Sarah's
for now.
smoking the Victory, our flagship cigar.
And there's a reason she's smoking the Victory.
There
right.
is.
What we will develop into.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's how-
So
how
I'm
good
actually
we are.
smoking a Lancero from. You guys have met him, right? Kurt Kindle, 724 Cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not to not smoke a Warfighter on the show, but
It happens.
it does. I do
You
smoke
know,
other
people,
things.
as a cigar brand owner, people ask me all the time what my favorite cigar is. And my reply is the one I have not tried yet.
Yeah.
I like all cigars.
And not to
I
go
don't
down,
like all cigars. I like to try all cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to go down a business road when we have a whole bunch of shit to talk about. But there's so many companies, so many cigar lounges that are located within miles of each other, and they hate the other person. They're like, to the point where we've asked, hey, have you ever gone down and just talked to them? Oh, I'll never step foot in their store. Why not?
Yeah.
If you guys work
They
together,
don't even know why.
you can be so much more successful.
You need
So
to
when
get
it
more
comes down to
people
like,
into cigar smoking and then let them
Yeah.
try all of them.
Dude,
Well,
half
why
these
don't they
cigar
share
shop owners have
customers?
never
Yeah.
even talked to each other.
when it comes down to other brands, like there's maybe, I don't know.
I can count on a half of a hand
Yeah, I was gonna say like 2 or 3 brands.
that I don't like or like the people or whatever.
Everybody
But
else, like,
everybody else is like,
Yeah, I mean, I was in the industry for a while. You guys know
Yeah.
most of my backstory with that. And I worked for brands and stuff like that. And of course, if I'm like out and about, like if I'm out doing business, of course I'm smoking my brand.
yeah.
But I guarantee you, there was a lot of lounges, and I not even guarantee you because it's not like a hypothetical. There was a lot of lounges and stuff where like me and another rep or another VP or another owner or somebody would show up, and we were like sitting there exchanging sticks and
Yeah,
smoking the
they're
other
like
guy's
fucking
stuff. Like, while
baseball
we're sitting-
cards for adults.
right? And it was
every time I go into a place, I usually buy a cigar, and if they have a good house blend,
yeah,
I'll buy
absolutely.
the
You gotta
house
smoke.
blend.
My favorite stuff. Wait, start pushing.
Oh
What is-
my
Oh!
It's
god!
Veterans Day.
No,
yeah,
What are you
that's
drinking?
worse.
What kind of
What is
pussy
that?
Say it.
ass
I'm not
shit?
drinking anything.
What is that? What are
No.
you drinking?
Huh? It's a. It's,
Explain to Sarah what
it's
you're.
he
what
who
you're
shall
having
not be
right now.
named.
Explain to Sarah what it is.
Why
and
are
we
you
can't
drinking
talk
a
about
White Claw?
Okay, so
That is why, because I knew you'd say it.
They taste like ass.
Line and
Okay.
sinker.
So you got worked. So here's the rule. There's a rule. Since you haven't listened to the show, yeah, I'm still gonna make you do it. But if you say the name on this show, you owe 10. So the
Push-ups.
deck's right there.
Mike,
beating
It was
the
like
face.
$10 to
Mike, I feel like you
blowjobs.
came prepared to set her up for this.
I was sitting here and I was like,
Sarah's escalation was ridiculous. She went $10, 10 blowjobs. Like I don't know what the fuck.
like
You're pretty
Jesus.
fucking squared away. I mean, they're like post. Yeah, they're not bad.
Okay.
The back straight. She's not quite low enough, but it's fine.
You know what? We did all those push-ups last month for Sober October, and those are better than somebody else that was on the team that also drinks skinny bitches. Those are better than his push-ups.
Well, it's because he did like 30 for the month. So, the rest of us did what 3,100.
Yeah.
So
Shit.
Yeah.
Well,
Didn't we
good
have a
job.
bet with Mikey?
No, I didn't take that bet.
I can.
I'm glad.
I actually
I'm
just
glad I
listened to that
didn't.
episode like a couple days ago. He legit didn't take the bet.
Yeah.
Damn it! I was like, 'cause I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, if you
I'm
say
glad
that
I
name,
didn't either. I told you
Then
what
you have
happened.
to-
you're in
I
for
got to
10.
like
Like,
80.
okay. It's just the nature of the beast. So yeah, I will say though that the sober October push-ups after this weekend, fucking handy. Like it fucking worked out super well for me.
Yeah, because you ran a
Fucking
Spartan
great.
race this weekend.
I did. I ran another one.
And you rocked it.
It was not bad.
Did you
What
win?
was your time?
Did you win?
For the first race or the second race?
The first one.
What?
So-
you did twice?
I did it twice. Yeah.
Why?
Because he's a fucking sadist.
Yeah.
In the same
Lost your
day.
mind.
Like, was it on accident?
I did them within 12 hours of each other.
Was it on accident or on purpose?
on purpose? Yeah.
Why the fuck?
Well, one was the VIP one.
No. So it was a little interesting, right? So we went up there.
VIP, you get a watch.
Yeah, you guys go run. I'm gonna sit up in my suite and eat some food.
So I spent. I guess this leads us directly into how was everybody's weekend, because that's typically how we open the conversation. But guess we'll get to it now. I was in Boston over the weekend for a business trip, and I got to do some of the history stuff and whatever. But it's a project we're working on with Spartan, and so while we were there, they were hosting what's called their Stadion series, which there's only 8 of them a year, and they happen in the major stadiums in the United States. And this one happened to be in Fenway. I'm a pretty fucking big baseball fan. By the way,
It's like the only sport you actually like.
yeah, I think that was like the first time like anybody figured out there was a sport that I was like actually into.
Yeah.
So, and I'm a pretty big Stros fan, and even though we put up a good showing, I still love you boys. So you're
Go
still my
Cu-
team.
Go Cubs.
Wow.
It's my National League team.
Career loser, huh?
Listen, we've won it once. It was great.
So, but the fact of the matter is that Fenway is Fenway.
Sure.
Whether you're a Sox
Yeah.
fan or not,
It's awesome.
it's fucking Fenway.
It's Fenway.
It's kind of like being in the Vatican of baseball. Like it's
Yeah,
a little
pretty much.
ridiculous. Like when you're there.
Yeah.
Well, a Cubs fan, you get that too because
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
I mean, Wrigley,
same thing.
Wrigley's like on that same level. You
I
know,
have I have like my roommate right now that's still in the Coast Guard. He's from New England, so he's a huge Boston fan. I have like tons of friends that are Coasties that are like Boston fans, and so I can't wait until when I do get like I'm gonna move up there, move into the DC Maryland area in the next like month or two. And so I know,
Fucking
I know,
Rest in peace.
I know.
Leaving a
Get-
land of freedom.
I'll
to go
leave
there,
my
huh?
like nice big ass house down here, and you know the freedom of Texas,
And
and
you're
I've
gonna pay
fully
fucking-
embraced.
To go
you're
live
gonna
in
pay
400 square
double.
feet for
To get-
$3,000 a month.
Exactly. But anyway, so the upside to that is I have never been to Fenway, and I've
It's
never
amazing.
even been to New York. Like,
It was,
obviously
kinda
our
skip
Coast
New
Guard
York.
our Coast Guard boot camp is in
New York sucks.
our Coast Guard boot camp's in Cape May, New Jersey. So that's pretty much as far
literally
east
no reason to
or
go to New York.
northeast as I've been. But
Don't
yeah.
have a-
Oh, you gotta go to New York once.
just to realize
Yeah.
that you
Just
never
to
need to
see
go
it.
back. You're like,
I lived there for a
But
short period
Boston
of time,
for sure.
and it was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
It sucked.
but
Yep.
I ran the Spartan in Fenway. So
Bless you.
we ran it. There was 4 of us that ran it.
Bless you.
There was 4 of us that ran it. So the time we put up day 1 was an hour 19 because we ran it with another couple. And y'all are fucking savages. I swear to fucking God. Anyways,
Is this because when they stop caring about your stories,
Yeah,
they
totally.
just start fucking around?
so here's the thing. They asked me
Wrap it up, sir.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
every time I have a Spartan weekend, they fucking ask me about it, and then they just do this shit the whole fucking time.
Every
So
time
it-
I have a Sono shit, you fuckers do it to me.
So I ran Fenway's an hour 19 day 1, and
Or
then
there's a figure 4 joke somewhere in there. Yellow Rose, figure
getting
4.
there.
Where reset it, everybody.
yeah. So
Don't forget the Traeger.
well,
Oh,
yeah,
and Traeger. Yeah, Traeger Grills.
you
Yes.
can tell that none of the
Traeger
food there
Grills
was
give us
cooked on
money.
a Traeger.
Oh boy.
But it could have been faster. We ran with another couple. They did great. I have to admit. They one of them was another Spartan version. They'd never been before, so a little bit of that. But the 3,100 push-ups last month definitely came in fucking handy.
Nice.
And then we got invited to go do a private run the next morning at 6 a.m.
Because that sounds fucking terrible.
Oh my god.
Right, but here's how they got me, right?
Yeah.
They were like, so day 1, the Saturday race, they were expecting something like 9,000 racers. Just racers. That doesn't include like the people that come and watch and staff and blah 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 blah.
Right.
So Fenway's packed. I'm like, it was like being there for a baseball game. Like there was just fucking people everywhere, right?
Right.
The 6 a.m. race though was like 12 people, like 2 Fenway staff and like 3 Spartan staffers. So Fenway was empty.
That's
there was
fucking cool.
nobody there. So the whole way they got me was like, look, it's like a sunrise race. Fenway's empty, and you essentially get Fenway to yourself. But you get to run through the locker room. You get to actually step on field at Fenway. Like 3 of the obstacles were against the green monster. So like I crawled up one of the A-frames and reached out and like had my hand on the green monster. Like,
How long was the race? How many miles?
altogether, my GPS put it in at 3.9.
Oh, I would have fucking ran that shit faced.
Right. Oh, I was definitely still hungover from the night before.
Well,
That's what I mean.
I'll tell you this much. So he ran his race on Saturday, the first one on Saturday.
Right. So the second one though, we ran it and we full blown ran that thing and we did it in 42 minutes. So we
Nice,
shaved
dude.
off like 40 minutes from the previous day.
Nice. Well, I think a lot of that, the previous day, you're probably waiting on people too.
Well, we ran, like I said, we ran with another couple.
Yeah.
So we paced them out, and then with so many people, you're bottlenecked out.
Yeah.
So you run into a lot of stuff where you're waiting in line essentially to get through some of the obstacles. But literally in the middle of it, I ran with my cell phone on the second day, and so we're sitting there, and we got to this one corner, and it's just empty Fenway, and you can't see anybody. It was
That's
just my
fucking
wife
cool.
and I, like in the middle of Fenway, and it was just like. I'm taking a fucking picture. Like I did. Like I'm stopping and I'm taking a fucking picture. Like
We're
right fucking
cutting
now.
a couple
Absolutely.
minutes into
The
this.
first thing, if I was in your shoes in that position, the first thing that I would have pulled out would not have been my cell phone.
Granted, this is also 2 Massachusetts kids. So we would have did some shit that was memorable.
I have enough pictures of Fenway. Like,
What are you gonna do? Like pull your dick out and salute it to the
You
like?
bet your ass. Here's to the fucking Bucky deck. Fuck you.
Here's all I'm gonna say. You two have been in Fenway, right?
yeah.
You know how there's that one section of the bleachers where there's like the new bleachers that were put in, and there's like the original like bleachers behind that. Yeah, I've gone skin on skin with the original bleachers. I'm not gonna say what seat. I know, but
Proud of you.
yeah, but up where the all the Tullamore barrels are and everything. Yeah. Me and Fenway had a moment.
Nice. Nice.
Mainly because I knew my Boston boys wouldn't
Cheers.
they wouldn't let me
Cheers,
live it down if I
brother.
didn't do it right.
Thank you.
So
Wild.
I appreciate
that was for you boys. I wasn't gonna say it on the show, but fuck it.
Why not?
But yeah, so
3
me
days
and-
is a
me and-
statute of limitation, right?
Yeah, me and Fenway got fucking close. So, but yeah, it's an amazing stadium. If you're a baseball fan, make the pilgrimage. Like
Yeah.
standing in that place is kind of ridiculous because they leave it all like the Jimmy Fund and stuff. Like the Jimmy Fund boxes are still on the pillars and shit, where you can still like drop $1 in for the Jimmy Fund and all that shit. Like it's they leave all the history in there. It's pretty fucking amazing when you go up there. So it's
That's cool, dude.
So
yeah.
I'm gonna speed things up because we have a lot to talk about and we haven't even touched on it yet. So
Okay.
my weekend I cooked pork loin. Scott
There you go.
came back from Nebraska. Mikey got shit faced. Sums it up.
I do have a little bit of a story, but
Jesus
I know.
Christ. No, kidding.
So do I,
Oh,
man.
hold on. Before I forget,
Quick
we keep
birthday.
drinking and I forget to do it. Legitimately, with all sincerity, because I did not call you yesterday. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you.
Aw,
Thank you
happy
very
birthday.
much. I appreciate that.
It wasn't. It's the Marine Corps' 244th birthday.
Yep. It's true.
So I didn't call you yesterday. I'm remiss in doing that as your friend.
It's all good, dude.
Happy birthday. I will tell you, though, I spent the entire day with 2 fucking Marines and celebrated the fucking birthday. So
Yeah.
Did it right.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, man. We actually celebrated Satmar. We celebrated the birthday Saturday night.
So that was just an utter shit show.
About 90 Marines showed up. It was smaller than last year's, actually, but equally as drunken.
Nice.
It was a good time. Had a great time, actually. Maybe 1 or 2 douchebags, which is, considering the ratio, not bad.
You'll always have a couple.
Yeah, we had a great fucking time. So, yeah, thank you very much. Happy birthday, Marines.
I too had some Marine Corps birthday cake.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I went to
Dude,
Nebraska.
was it pink? Because that's actually a urinal cake. That's not.
I thought that's the same thing.
Well, a Marine handed
about
it
right.
to me. I was confused.
So it's definitely a
eat
urinal
this.
cake.
Probably your okay. Yeah. It's for afterwards, man. It's an
Yeah, went to-
after dinner, man.
It makes the breath smell better.
I went to Nebraska, and Barry Law Firm, who one of my partners, Chris, works for, had a military dining out And so we celebrated the Marine Corps birthday along with the dining out. It was cool because Warfighter as a whole has never been, all of the partners, there's 5 of us, have never been in the same spot at one time. But we had 4 of us together.
Is that fucking true?
Yeah, not once
Wow.
since the conception
Not
of the
one
company.
picture.
And I was the one that was out. I had to stay here and run the ship.
Yeah. So I got a chance to meet up with Chris, Brian, and Vince. Vince came to the Barry event to speak. He had a really good speech about military transition, and
He's pretty good at that.
oh yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
And but it was good, like getting to catch up with Chris and Brian, and we had a good time. It was funny.
Actually, he was a Marine, right?
Matt was
Yeah,
totally a
Matt
Marine.
Booth.
Yeah, Matt Booth. So
He
I'm
spent,
smoking a Room 101 farce right now.
Actually,
And Mikey was just looking at it, and he was
the
a Marine.
emblem on that cigar, the reason there's actually so much Japanese inspiration in his banding and stuff is because his duty station was fucking
Okinawa.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so-
cool.
Skosh Nihongo Desu.
Yeah, so he doesn't talk about it a lot with his branding and stuff, but he injected a lot of his Marine Corps days into his brands.
Yeah.
Matt's a super good dude.
I bet you
He's a cool dude.
does his
Solid
Jeep have a
fucking
blood
guy.
stripe as well?
Fucking, he's actually got the blood stripes tattooed on
Yeah.
his
Oh,
legs,
nice.
They like red stripes down both of
all
his
the way
legs.
down his legs.
Whoa.
Does
No, he really
I was
doesn't.
like, the way you
By
both
the way,
just sold
no,
that,
no.
I was like,
He's, so, he's
believe
super
it.
sold.
Now,
yeah,
here's the
I was
thing.
like, huh.
Anybody that has ever physically met Matt Booth,
like-
you'd fucking believe it
Yeah.
because there's barely any skin
So
on that man that hasn't been inked.
Let me tell you
But-
about the last time we met up with Matt Booth was at the Underground. We had an event called the NFG No Fucks Given
Yeah.
event, and Matt had his booth set up, which is funny. Matt Booth is his name.
Did he have his
Booth
That is
set
a
up.
Did he
big
have his
setup.
Jaeger machine there?
No, but he had a inflatable sheep.
Yeah, that
with
sounds
all of his cigars coming out of the orifices of the sheep.
that sounds bad.
It was
That was good.
It was classic Matt.
That's pretty fun. Yeah, that's fun.
Have you guys ever been in his booth when he had the Jaeger machine set up?
No.
So
I
he
haven't-
used to go to every show.
I'm not allowed to drink Jaeger.
And he would go to do the big CI show, and he'd go do like all that stuff. And he had a fucking Jaeger machine. It was one of those fucking triple bottle bastards, like at the top that just like
Nice.
fucking chilled it and shit as it came out. And
I used to have one of those in my apartment.
yeah, he made a couple of decisions. And the story goes that at one of the shows, he decided that he was going to wear that fucking machine out, and it went so poorly
Jaeger will do that.
that some of his adjacent brands were like, you can't have this fucker here anymore. Like, you're just not allowed. I can't confirm that that's accurate, but if you've met Matt,
Yeah.
it's pretty fucking believable. Like, so
So-
Matt's a good dude, and if for any reason Matt ever fucking hears the show, we'd fucking love to have you.
Haley just texted me. 1604 and 281 closed because of wind.
Oh my
Wind,
god.
Because of wind.
wind.
Michelle just sent me a weather map, and it's probably going to snow here.
I mean, it snowed a couple years ago.
Yeah.
We get snow.
Dude, do you remember?
I just left
do you remember
goddamn
when we got, like,
Nebraska,
those
though. I'm just
Three,
saying.
I
like
wasn't here.
18?
No,
I
yeah,
wasn't
no,
here.
2018.
18, yeah.
We got like
got
those 3 or 5
5
inches or whatever.
Yeah, it
like
was
everyone was
crazy.
fucking making snowmen and shit.
Dude,
2 days
I
later,
had
it was all
like
gone.
that was the night of my math class of like
great.
my math final.
It's fucking fantastic.
They let us out. They like,
Marines
let us
take
out
math?
early. I got
Anyways.
a degree, lady. All right. God.
But one of the things when we were going back talking about all the missed missions that we did with Saddam, we ended up getting Saddam's sons, and it was just another whatever random day we were going to pick up a dude that had an intel, and we flew in helicopters everywhere we went. So a helicopter lands, come pick us up, and the team that was getting on, that helicopter had a 50 on one side and a minigun on the other, and most Blackhawks don't have a 50 and a minigun on them. So when that bird landed and the guys were getting on the bird, I was talking to the guy that's next to me. I'm like, I think they might actually be getting somebody good this time. Like,
This might be a good one.
like scouts, we rolled up to the talk, and there was all the cool guys there.
Yeah.
Like, oh. And we didn't sit there for 5 hours.
I'm doing nothing.
Beforehand.
It was we gotta go.
Yeah,
Cool guys
it
don't
was,
wait.
It was 30
That's when you
minutes.
know
and
when
fucking rolling.
something is legit, you're going and
Yeah.
you're going fast. So
but no, when they flew to go get the dude from whatever fucking Dohuk, wherever the
Yeah.
fuck it was, that was a bird that landed, and I was like, like, we're doing it. We're actually doing it this time.
I swear.
It's real.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, you always miss that kind of stuff, right? Like, because for us, even when I was in the Coast Guard, I couldn't be knocking on the top of the subs and also being behind. It's a conflict of interest thing. So you have to be either you're the giving the intel or you're the law enforcement element. That's a weird thing that the Coast Guard has. So you can't do both.
So
like
Jack Ryan's full of shit.
Oh, I mean, that's a completely different ball game because no, that Jack Ryan stuff. There's some truth to like some of that. Obviously, a lot of it's ridiculous, but
Ridiculously awesome.
the positions that he can do at CIA and then go out and do some of the other like actually boots on ground, running around kind of stuff like that can happen, and it especially when you're talking post 9/11 or anything like that, where it was these are all the people that know the backgrounds and know these targets. We got to push them out into the country, and that's kind of why we still do deployments.
Well, you need to be boots on ground.
Here's the people that are doing all this stuff back in country. We need to bring teams constantly in and out of wherever we're trying to find someone at in those countries, whether it's Syria, Iraq, or wherever, bringing them in, have them face to face, and really getting that information.
And that's why I think drone pilots should be in country.
How many people have you
guys.
waterboarded?
That's a good question.
0.
Come on.
So,
How many people redacted?
How many of your own people have you waterboarded just for recreation?
A couple.
How many people have you hooked up to a car battery?
0. Can't do that shit. I came in the new wave of
The kinder, nicer, gentler army.
nicer.
All I know is
How many people have you shot in the eye
I
with
wish.
a Nerf gun?
Oh. So many people have shot me in the fucking forehead with a Nerf gun. Fuck all of you if you're listening. No, I've had a few good. Yeah, I've had a few
gotten in
good
some
shots in
pretty
the eye.
intense Nerf
Yeah,
battles.
pretty
I
intense.
did
Boys.
I did a Nerf gun
Our
range.
boss hated those Nerf
Friday
guns.
night. There was a Nerf gun range at this. I went to Rack Space for the Marine Corps birthday party that they invited the employees of Grunt
sick.
Style to. All the Marine employees, they invited us.
I was
so-
busy.
Yeah, you were busy. Well, you FaceTimed me while I was there.
I did.
Yeah, and
From
but
Fenway.
they had a fucking
You
a
win. One
rifle
upper.
range set up as like a little competition with Nerf guns. They had like all the fucking different Nerf
Sick.
guns. They had like the fucking chain gun one and shit.
Oh,
Like,
I
they had
fucking want that.
they had everything, dude. And I was like, oh
Have you
shit.
seen the Nerf tank?
What?
Yeah,
I just saw a
a
Nerf
fucking
fucking
tank.
mortar tube.
Yes.
You can.
they had a
Wow.
Nerf grenade. You could fucking load it.
There's a
and throw
fucking-
that bitch, and it fucking spring loads and shoots them everywhere.
There's a fucking tank that you can sit on, and it fucking drives around. It's got a fucking Nerf gun on the front of it. It's tick, 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 tick,
We
tick,
start
tick,
doing this private military shit in Mexico. You're getting a Nerf grenade.
Yes.
tick. You're
We're
gonna get a
going
whole
to
fucking
Mexico.
bandolier, then bitches just fucking.
Frag out! Everyone dies. He's like, boom.
But for real, one time we
Fucking
did.
cartel boys are like, what the fuck? Just
I would have probably
Well, while
felt
they're
safer
looking at
walking
that-
around Baghdad than I did. One time we pulled into Mexico, and I remember always telling my friends that would
shit,
go
here
to
comes the real
Cancun and
stories.
stuff. Hey, never stop going to Mexico. Like people are getting just found in boxes and shit. Like stop it. Even Cancun's not safe. So then my dumbass, we pull in the Coast Guard. We pull in for a port call on our way back north. We pull into Mexico, and I'd been drinking, and then I see the sign that says, like, golf course, and nobody else wants to go golf. Well, I want to golf. Like, oh, it can't be that far. So I just start walking. In the middle of, like,
Hell yeah.
pretty much a Mexican jungle. 3 miles or so go by, and I'm by myself, and I'm just, like, dripping, just pouring sweat, like, oh my God, this is where I die. Like, no one's around me.
Yeah, you're a
no
total
one-
white chick in
yeah,
Mexico,
I am.
too.
Yeah, I am super pale and
Fucking
blonde and all that
weta.
stuff.
That's
And
a weta right there.
Yeah, so I finally get to the golf course after like walking for, I don't know, 45 minutes. Nobody speaks Spanish. Nobody speaks English.
everybody speaks.
Everybody
Spanish.
speaks Spanish.
I was like, where in Mexico
I don't
did you
speak.
go?
Yeah, I don't speak very good
It's
Spanish.
just that weird town you showed up to.
So I'm
Everybody
just
spoke
like,
German.
I need clubs and I need this, and they're like $200. $200? What the? So
I'm
I
not paying
like
the
hand
fucking
them my
rent for the goddamn.
Jesus.
Mexico, not
This is
Florida.
Mexico. And I mean, it was a gorgeous looking golf course, but they tried to swipe my card. Won't fucking work. Big surprise, that card got hacked not too long after that trip.
Weird.
And yeah, super weird.
You're
wouldn't
the worst
take it.
intel person ever.
I know. Really fucking. I've done some dumb
This is
shit
why
for
our
being like,
intel sucks.
this is,
Right?
yeah. Because I'm like, here's
But
my
now-
credit card cartel. Good luck
We're
to
really
me.
good now, though, I swear.
Bro, we're so good. Yeah. Anyway, so then
so
I have
from
to
an-
turn around and go back and.
From an intel point of view, John and I do a lot of business in Nicaragua.
Mm-hmm.
John and I also like to ride motorcycles.
Yeah.
We were thinking about riding motorcycles
From here.
to Nicaragua?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
You will die.
No.
Yeah, you
Come
will.
on.
You will be.
Dude,
I
there
bet,
was
I
a
bet she
cut-
has that on good authority, boys. You might not want to
Yeah,
do it.
I'm gonna go with. She might be the one that you might want to listen to on this one, guys.
Like
Yeah.
if it's me
you
and
wouldn't
Jazz
even make
talking,
it past
yeah,
the
gaff
border
us off.
towns.
What do you mean?
What bullshit?
Or if I have a
You-
really fast motorcycle.
Wallah wouldn't make it past the border towns. And that means I
Is
swear
it faster
in
than
Arabic.
a bullet?
Well, no, I mean, fuck, all somebody has to do is say no ball as soon as
So
I get
you can
fucking
look
time
up
and
people
money
that
involved.
have tried to do
No,
that
dude,
kind
you'll
of
just come
stuff,
back
and
with no
they-
balls.
Dude, that's like those fucking
are
idiots
dead.
that are like, I'm gonna prove that Iraq's a nice place and I'm gonna fucking hitchhike across it, and then
dude.
like
Yeah.
they're on the news.
Yep.
Fuck you guys,
Getting
you're
their
gonna
head
see
cut
a
off.
movie
Yeah,
about
getting their head
two
cut off.
fucking army grunts that decided to go motorcycle to fucking
Yeah, that we
Nicaragua.
Didn't you
never
see the
found
Marine that
again.
was like stuck in Mexico?
Yeah, he was
for
a vagina. He didn't
years?
start
Like,
shooting.
He brought a gun.
And he didn't
He
use it.
accidentally crossed into the border. Like,
Yeah, but
He accidentally brought
he
guns
got caught.
too.
well, that's
turned
Yeah, he was there. He was there for a
That's-
long
that's
time.
not a
his
good.
fault.
That's not a good example.
No.
But I will tell you.
If you get stuck, though, we could call the Marines. I hear a lot of those boys are pretty good at
Yeah,
getting
dude,
guys in
we're
from Mexico.
coyoteing motherfuckers these days.
I
Shit.
got other phone calls
Yeah.
that I'm gonna make when we do this trip.
I wish you boys good luck. I do not suggest it.
We might have to have like an off the record conversation about some tunnels too.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Just-
Well, you talked about it last week, man. You fucking
Just fucking wow. All
I
right.
don't care.
So since we've gotten back
Well,
to
let's
the
yeah.
Hey,
well,
I've
let
already
me
tried picking on the
let me
Clintons.
put a
Might as well start
caveat
doing
to
a
that.
cartel also.
Caveat to that trip. Yeah, bring a duffel bag of cash, and you can probably survive. But you're gonna have to pay a lot of money to get through those areas.
What if I don't
money,
need
money,
to-
money talks.
What if we just say that we're fucking
you might make it because you kind of look
refugees,
like
You
we're
one.
trying to
look
get to
Mexican
Guatemala.
a little bit.
Yeah, you kind of look like
Yeah,
you'd
they
make
would just
it.
be like,
but
"Oh, this is one of
But
our
then let the
like
refugees come north. Why can't we go south?
that's because that was all organized.
We're
Because the
organized.
You're just
cartels
two
they're
gringos on
paying them
motorcycles.
to move them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like we're gonna stop. We're
What
gonna,
if we pick?
We're
What
gonna
if,
go get gas. Go get gas. You know what I mean?
what if
yeah,
we cross the
sure.
border? Right,
What?
we pick up a couple kilos and we take them down to the southern border.
Wow.
That
We're
kinda-
going to change subjects right here.
This has turned into the Freedom Friends
turning-
via fucking drug cartel running.
Yeah, we're not.
Jesus.
So,
Put a
anyways,
drone above
that
you.
brings it to, I believe, everybody's favorite part of the podcast.
So no shit.
So, no shit. And I can't wait to hear what a Coastie brings to the table
Yeah.
with So
Well,
No
she's checking her
Shit. There.
notes.
I was like, what? So no shit was good.
So are you, and you're outside OPSEC on anything that you're going to fucking say for this?
Yeah.
right?
Like, all
Oh,
right, so
these are
th-
just like drunken like Coast
Like this.
Guard.
Well,
Oh,
this
okay.
this is how our Sono shit stories work.
Yeah.
Oh, she got briefed. She got briefed
you
on
got
what
briefed?
they're,
All right.
yeah, what they're about.
Well, so it's basically just it's us. It's not like war stories. It's like
Yeah.
funny shit that happened to us. Like
Right,
Jazz
while you
told-
were out there.
Jazz told a great story. Not even necessarily like no in Garrison too. Like back in the
okay.
base too. Like Jazz told a great story where one of his Joes peed in a hooker's butt. All right, or the time I bust the hooker in a barracks. These aren't all hooker stories, by the way. All right, there was
A
also
lot
a
of
midget.
hookers there. There was a midget hooker.
There was, like-
Didn't you bust a prostitution ring in your barracks?
I did.
Oh my.
I did. I busted a prostitute.
Oh, and you guys
a
witnessed
meth
a
lab.
midget
Didn't-
hooker.
didn't
They
I-
had those
didn't I have
on
a buddy-
Navy ships too.
Oh
They
yeah,
have-
the USS Wasp was fucking like notorious for having a
those
hooker
the huge.
ring. Yeah,
What are the 5,000 sailor ships?
like the big
Aircraft carriers.
Yeah,
Aircraft carriers have like straight up gangs, straight up prostitution rings.
yeah.
Really?
They,
Yeah.
I heard a story once.
Bitches
we
be
while I
learned
making
was
this
money
in-
shit
taking
today.
dudes in the
While
family
I
and
was
giving them
in-
hand jobs and shit.
Yeah. While
Yeah.
I was in RIMPAC, I heard like a
They-
story
they
was told
take
to me
Y'all
by
need to
a
come up with a
sailor.
better name for that exercise.
said-
I'm fucking
Right.
sorry, but
There was a female.
blow the whistle. We're going to Impact.
Yeah, there was a
You know how many Marines we've made that joke, dude? All right, you're well behind that one, bud.
Sweepers, grab your brooms. It's time for fucking Impact.
no. There was a female gang apparently on one of those aircraft carriers that they wouldn't even go down into like the area that they were living because these females were so fucked up. They were sodomizing people with broomsticks, like they
Jesus
were
fuck.
that terror. Like they waited until they pulled into a port and brought a whole gang of MPs on board to like take down this group of bitches.
Holy
Yeah.
shite!
I don't know.
Jesus Christ, that wasn't even her so no shit
That's
story.
not my. That's
yeah,
just
but
stuff
I don't
that.
know
Yeah.
if that means the females in the Navy are fucking ballers or the rest of the
Sadist.
fucking Navy's a bunch,
Bunch
of
of
pussies.
pussies. Probably a little bit of both.
All of their victims were volunteers.
Mikey, is this
Where
what
you
you
going? I'm
guys
going down
are-
to get sodomized.
Mikey, is that why you don't sweep?
Huh?
Is that why you don't sweep?
Yeah, it's PTSD.
Mikey, you heard him the first time.
It's PTSD from the sweepers manning their brooms.
Oh God. All right.
Toot toot.
So,
You know,
shit,
it's
there
funny.
you
Like,
were.
we talk so much shit about the Navy,
no,
but I
yeah.
actually met a dude the other day who's a DevGru guy, and I'm trying to get him to come on the show.
Nice.
And I want to see
even
you guys
better.
run your fucking mouths to him.
I'll do it all day.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do?
After
beat
the
me
show,
up?
after the show, I'll tell you I'll do it all fucking day.
No, here's the thing.
He's
Anyways.
also a double amp.
If he
So
beats
really
me
well.
up,
What's he gonna
that
do? Chase me down?
makes it even better.
I don't.
Now, here's the fucked up thing: is he double amputee legs or arms?
Legs.
Oh, because if it was arms, it'd be even better. If he chased you down,
He's
I'd be
gonna
fucking
chase you,
shitting
but then
myself the
what's
whole
he gonna
time.
what's he gonna hit you with?
I just
You don't want
picture,
anybody coming at
you
you.
finding the Black Knight from fucking Monty Python. Your arms off. It isn't
splash wound.
Tis a scratch.
Anyways, so no shit. There the coastie was.
So there, no shit. There we were. In one of our, so that Arctic patrol was 4 months long, and we
do you
unfortunately
guys
had to
patrol?
pull into.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
Like in 4 months, we just did a circle.
well,
Somebody fucking
pretty
said it.
much, pretty
Because
much.
as soon as she said Arctic Patrol, I was like,
Yeah. What are you?
Are you like on an icebreaker or any of that shit? Like,
No, we were on what we call like one of
Kodiaks.
our national security cutters that are supposed to go kind of all over the world and also up there. And we went up, and the beginning part of the patrol was to go actually all the way to the Arctic Circle. And there's a lot of people that are trying to drill and do stuff, and then you've got the Russians, and it's more of a security from a security standpoint. We always want
like
somebody
ice
up
pirates?
well, it's funny
Kind
because
of, but
that's not our fucking land though. It's not our waters.
there. Right, but you're about to, if we don't, it's one of those things where if we let Russia kind of just start coming farther and farther and controlling that and like getting all of the oil resources or destroying everything up there natural resource wise, that's kind of where the problem comes in. That's why we do so much stuff too, like when you go past Hawaii and you're going towards Tahiti or you're going into Guam, a lot of our mission down there is actually trying to get after people that are illegally fishing, like destroying the waters in essence. So we're kind of, I think, trying to do the same thing up there with the whole Alaska thing, but we only spent a short amount of time up to the Arctic. So I am a blue nose, got to cross into the Arctic and all that
Did you
stuff.
go swimming?
Not in that water.
Why not?
You'll die in like 2 minutes.
Well, you can't even like put a foot in or anything.
Well, I mean, you can put a suit on, but no, I did not go swimming in the Arctic. But then the rest of the 4 months was brutal. It was awful because we were in the Bering Sea during crab fishing season, and our mission was just to make sure, like, to rescue as many people if they needed us.
So the
and so
deadliest
from
catch guys are just
we
like
were on
getting fucked
Deadliest
up.
Catch
Did
that
you get
year.
seasick?
Really?
I got so fucking seasick all the time. I would just be laying in our like skiff, what we call it, our room, and I'd just be on the floor like, God, what did I do? Like, why? Please just kill me. And then
everybody that's ever served had that moment.
Yeah.
Whether you were in the ocean or not,
Right.
you're just
Yeah.
laying there going, what
true.
the
See,
fuck
I
have
had
I
that
done?
moment, but I had dysentery.
So-
but it was very similar to having
yeah,
seasick.
God, why?
Mine was
Yeah.
in Louisiana.
Oh, fuck. So yeah, out of that 4 months, pretty much 2.5 months of just in the Bering Sea, getting our asses kicked by like 40-foot waves and just crap. And so there's no good places up there either, like to pull in. Kodiak is an okay place. We went to Nome for a couple days. That place is cool. It's like an old Wild West, like mining town. But it was nothing but pulling into Dutch Harbor, Alaska,
Did you
where
see the
like
aliens?
souls go to die. So yeah, in Nome they do
The
that whole
aliens,
alien
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I did not see any aliens.
I
So
thought they had a whole
we're
bunch of things on the garden.
not those guys.
No.
So we're
Wrong kinda
constantly
gnome.
pulling into Dutch Harbor, and our
Not a good gnome, just a gnome.
our cutter likes to drink. So the first time we pull into Dutch Harbor, and Dutch Harbor is only a couple miles by a couple miles.
Did you guys have like pallets of Cutty Shark on your boat?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's the shittiest fucking scotch in the world.
No, we
not
don't.
great.
Yeah, no booze on our boat
Oh.
because we pull
Coast
in.
Guard's still dry, right? Like on vessel.
Yeah,
still,
more.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people have stuff snuck on there, or like if we pulled into a port and you wanted to buy a bottle, then you just put it in the locker and then you get it when you. But we're constantly in and out of ports. It's not like the Navy will go 90 days or even longer without pulling into somewhere. We only go a few weeks at most, maybe 30 days before we're pulling into port. So up there, it was even less than that. It was like every couple of weeks pulling it. So we pull into Dutch Harbor the first time, and there's only one hotel. There's like 3 bars and like 2 or 3 restaurants. So it's 120 of you pretty much all together. Can't get away from each other. And the town is always tired of
There's 120
coasties.
bodies on that boat?
On that particular one, yeah. Ish.
How big's the boat?
Like 400 feet or so, 420. Yeah.
It's not enough.
Yeah, no. And so we pull in that first time. It's all good. And we're down in the hotel bar. And the entire ship, to include the captain and everybody, gets kicked out because people are like going upstairs, getting their Jameson, walking back down into the bar with it, like running around, has
As you
solo
do.
cups, like hooping and hollering. And the hotel is like, no, get the fuck out, all of you. I'm like, oh, well, this is our first time up here.
Where the fuck
What
else
a
do we
bunch of
go
idiots.
now?
Where are we gonna go?
I would open a bar in Kodiak just for these guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
like-
that's what, and so there
like,
there
wreck the
are
place,
better
I'll
ones
fix
in
it tomorrow.
Kodiak. And Dutch Harbor, like one of the deadliest catch guys did open a bar, like specifically. I mean, he's making a lot of money now. This was after I was already there, but so that's our first time into that port. So we get back underway, and the captain's laughing like, "Haha, guys, we all got kicked out. Let's not do that again, though." By like the
Now,
fourth.
you guys need to understand a captain in the Coast Guard. That's an 06.
Yeah. For us,
Right?
that's a colonel.
full bird.
Yeah,
All
it's
right?
like, all right, guys, this was all funny, but we're kind of a shit show. Let's not do that again. By the 4th time we pulled in during that, so now we've been back multiple times. They're getting real fucking sick of us now. And by that point, they're trying to say, you know, you can't have more than like one other person in your hotel. There's no hotel parties. There's no this. We had the fire department come because we found pallets on the like beach, and we're building bonfires, and they're like, we got to get these fucking people out of here. They're a mess. So it got so bad that the mayor of Dutch Harbor called the admiral that's in charge of all of that area of the world and said, this particular cutter is no longer allowed in Dutch Harbor ever again.
Now, what ranks
I mean,
the admiral?
I shouldn't
That's
say
when you
ever
get-
again,
that's when you-
but
that's like
for
general.
that, like,
General.
what ranks your that what was the
yeah,
admiral?
Like a general.
Yeah. So, like I don't know if he was a 1-star or 2-star.
So
but
your
yeah.
whole
Either
boat
way, it doesn't matter.
My whole boat was
got
told,
banned
do not come back to Dutch Harbor
from a city.
Now,
from a city.
all you
That's
guys
not-
talk shit
That's
on the
the
Coast
level
Guard.
of
when you-
drinking
fuck you.
that
That's
you're
You
how to
didn't
having.
get
get down.
blacklisted from a bar.
That's when
Well,
you
we
go
got
fucking whole
blacklisted.
swap time, bitches.
And they're
They got blacklisted from an entire town. Like the whole town was like, y'all
That
can
is
fuck.
full
They're
of
the goddamn Coast Guard. It's
The
amazing.
Coast Guard got blacklisted from the whole goddamn town.
That's
Can you
full of a
imagine what
bunch
they
of
would've did?
deadliest catch sailors that are like some of the worst methed out humans in the world,
Well,
and we
so
got
They're
banned.
cool
You
with
know-
them, and the
you know-
Coast,
you know what
Coast Guard came in and was like, "We're too hard for you."
I can come.
Fuck
The
you, Giant.
conclusion that I get from this is the Navy's a bunch of pussies, and the Coast Guard's one up on them.
Rah.
Yeah, I'm gonna reprioritize my branches of service here.
Yeah. Oh.
Coast Guard's fucking climbing the
Yeah,
fucking
dude, they're
ranks
climbing
here.
they're climbing the rungs there. Yeah.
It's a true
You're getting up
story.
there.
So
our
I
captain,
go-
our
but-
captain was no
I'm
longer
now-
happy after that.
New
He's
ranking
like,
structure for me is gonna be Army,
Well,
Marines,
yeah, because shit rolls downhill, and that admiral fucking climbed
go,
in his ass off,
Army,
bro.
Marines, Coast Guard, Air Force, Navy.
Wow,
That's my new
they
rank.
jumped a couple rungs there.
Yeah.
I
That's
would,
where I'm
I would
going.
go. I would switch Air Force and Navy. But yeah, I'm there with you.
You should put Navy third.
No. I would
No, he's put Navy
I would
fourth.
say I would say Marines, Army.
No, Army and Marines.
No, I would say Marines, Army. Go
He's
fuck
dyslexic.
yourselves.
You
You
just gotta-
fucking. I mean, I'm not at all. So,
It sounds like you are right
Yeah,
now.
that's really
Yeah.
sounding that way.
so Marines, Army. As much as you guys are just adorable. By the way,
"Aw."
you know how you guys are always talking shit like, oh, the biggest amphibious assault was fucking D-Day. Well, you had to give away 3 of those fucking beaches. And how much do you hate the Marines when you have to call Canada for help, Army? Fucking.
Sorry, bro, I wasn't there.
I was like, yes.
Maybe we just wanted to call somebody that could actually get the job done.
But here's the difference,
Well,
right?
you're afraid
So
of being outdone?
Here's the difference. They
You had to
like
call Canadian?
they let the Coast
Canadian?
Guard Canadian.
Sure, you're not
Have another
dyslexic?
drink, you fucking lush.
They let the Coast Guard go into port cities, They let
Yep.
the Marines and the Navy go into port cities.
Yeah, we're not allowed to leave fucking anything.
The Army, on the other hand, can't even go into the city outside of their own base.
Yep.
No, that's
You know
true.
what's funny though? The cities outside of Marine bases, we can't go in either. we can go somewhere that doesn't see us all the time.
It took the Coast Guard 5 times to go to the same city before they asked not to come
Yeah,
back.
and how long were you in port?
4.
Like how long were you typically in port?
3 days.
So if that
Holy
was
shit! Good fucking job.
Yeah, that's
so that's a grand
respect.
total of 12 fucking days. Like, and that was
blacklisted
spaced out,
from
and
a
that city
town.
was like,
Here's
y'all
the
can
thing.
never come back.
If
That's-
they would have dropped our infantry company in a town somewhere and said, you have 3 bars, a hotel, and a couple restaurants,
Oh yeah.
6 hours later,
Yeah.
they'd be like, get out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They'd have called
100%, dude.
They'd have called the CG
100%.
at that point and been like, I don't know who the fuck you sent
Right.
here,
Like,
but
what
you get the
animals
fuck
did you
out now.
fucking
But the worst
unleash
part
on us?
is our
That's a good
CG
point.
would have been like, go fuck yourself. Click.
Yeah,
It's
a
your
ve-
turn
it's a
to
very
fucking
good-
deal with them. Click.
it's a very good point.
I'm trying to paint the picture in my mind.
Sure.
Although I've
How-
met some generals that literally have been like, as soon as I'm done with this fucking bar tab, we'll leave. Like, and they've been like,
Well, and I was
What's-
able to spend my other claim to fame up there was, and my friends give me a lot of shit for this. I somehow spent $1,000 in 7 days in
Atta
Dutch Harbor,
girl.
Alaska.
Yes.
And everybody's like, "How the fuck?" I'm like, listen,
That's like a $200 bar tab a night.
booze
That's
were
average.
expensive.
You know
Like
what?
booze was expensive. I didn't eat that much, but now everybody in Dutch Harbor, like I paid for somebody's house for a
We
good
got it.
year.
We got it. Like, all right. So to give you guys some comparison, I spent $1,000 in Thailand in 4 days.
I went on mid tour leave from Iraq. Right, I was in Iraq for 10 months, and I got to go home to the States for 3 weeks.
Yep.
The last 5 days that I had in country in the States, I spent in Vegas, and I literally went home, and my card got declined trying to get a soda.
Respect it.
Respect.
Respect
at
it.
some point, Mikey,
One upwind.
next time you come over, I'll tell you how we were able to hit credit limit on an Amex Black in Vegas.
I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not telling that story on the show because I'm pretty sure those dudes still on my phone number. So
Redacted.
Yeah.
So on that, what's your ratio of men to women on the ship?
I don't know.
How many
Maybe
pregnancies
like
were there?
70-30 probably. Like,
Wow, really?
yeah, maybe 60-40 men
Wow,
to
wow,
women.
really?
I can't remember.
God, on Navy ships. Well,
So
at least
how many
on
pregnancies were
it's
there?
fucking like,
Well,
there's like
here's
4.
where I guess that story is pretty interesting too, because on those deployments, that's when I decided I think I like girls,
Yeah.
and
Hey,
started
girl.
hooking up with chicks on the boat, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I think that's probably a
No-
fucking
no
yeah, but
safe
you're not
bet.
taking nobody souvenirs at that point. Like that's just like
No.
that's a safe bet.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I
the
think that
problem
was
is that
probably
those
it.
girls that are hooking up with her are also hooking up with the dudes 9 times out of 10.
A lot of
You know what I
times,
mean?
yeah,
So
that
like,
is
you're,
the problem.
you're still
too.
catching something you can't
Yeah.
wipe off, but it's via third party.
I mean,
Yeah,
they
but it's-
were-
You're not catching a kid.
But you're not catching an 18-year sentence.
That's
Like
true.
that's
Also
a
true.
fucking
Also
difference.
Hey,
true.
if you all get on that boat clean and you keep it on the boat,
That's true.
No, there were a few girls that were definitely morale gear that
Right.
like ran
Yeah.
that got the train
in the
ran.
army, we
but-
call them
Yeah.
clearing barrels.
Sure.
Yeah, morale gear was definitely, but it wasn't. Yeah, maybe it wasn't as much as like 30% female. I'm trying to think.
Well, you really want to up that number because it's starting to sound pretty fucking rowdy. It's like, it might have been more like 15%. It's like, oh,
Okay, there were 6 girls on the boat.
No,
120.
I would
What's the proper?
say-
It's souls, right?
Okay,
Isn't that
let's
how
see.
they measure the number of
120
people on a
souls.
boat?
Yeah, on a boat on board, 120
So-
souls on board.
If we're saying 120 souls and there's 6 females, that's
No, there's not 6. It was.
That's like an amphib.
That's
like
fucking-
an amphib, like the ships I was on,
Let me
there was like
think.
6, 8 females.
I don't wanna
and they
hear
were the
that
lunch
fucking
ladies.
story.
And after
That's-
a couple months,
I would
they're hot as
say
fuck.
okay.
Dude.
What's the? I'm
Oh,
not
don't get
getting.
me wrong. We had one we called
We'll ask
softcore.
the Marine for my math.
She
If
caught
we
it.
think that there's all right, out of 120 people on board, okay, if there's 30, what percentage is that?
20.
That's
You're asking
20,
a bunch of grunts.
25%.
You better
Okay.
ask him, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's where we're close.
It's actually-
to. We're
it's
probably
exactly
at like
25%.
35% or 35 females of
Yeah,
of
it's
120.
25%. 30 out of 120 would be 25%.
Okay.
We had
Yeah.
a platoon of women walking around
Oh,
on
man,
the
that's,
boat.
that's
Yep.
a way better
How
ratio.
much
They're
of a
apparently all
nightmare
banging each
must
other
that have
though.
been?
So
No, because a lot of out of that 30, 10 of us were like,
That was the one
Okay.
time I wish we were
Okay, so-
videoing this.
so now we have to. So you have to take 10 out of the equation. So now we're talking about 20
Yep.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
So that's a
And you're only then out of
that's
that
a
20.
90-20
Yeah.
blend. Like
I mean,
that's
I
what you're dealing
definitely
with.
still did. So I didn't switch to girls until like later.
second round of
until
syphilis.
until
ran through about
RIMPAC.
90 dudes.
Until RIMPAC. Yeah.
Till day 8. Till day 8.
It was 5. Fuck off.
My third round of syphilis let me know that it's probably safer just to bang a chick.
Yeah. So I mean, I dabbled in that. I mean,
But
you get
that also
bored.
Dabbled in
tells me
syphilis.
Dabbled in this in the clap.
Just a shot in the ass, couple pills.
By the way,
also
she was
tells
on the
me-
USS Applause.
That also tells me that the Coast Guard dudes ain't shit.
Yeah,
If you
apparently
got
not.
30 dudes on a boat and girls are fucking converting,
30 girls. Yeah.
30
There's
girls,
30 girls in a boat.
90 dudes, and the girls are like,
they're converting.
I'm gonna bang a chick. Like
That is
fucking-
true.
Fuck you,
Like,
90
bro.
dudes. I'm taking
How
this
fucking
tonight.
beta? How
Yeah.
fucking beta do you gotta be?
You have
when you're
90
just like
dudes.
turning
You have
girls
90
at a
dudes.
fucking
They
They
did.
said there
cycle
was
rate.
10 chicks. That means she went, I have 90 options there or 9 options here.
Sold.
I'm going with 9.
Right?
Like,
Right?
So,
Like,
fuck.
Do you want to re-rank your branches
Well,
of
and
service
I
again?
did.
I think you need to
My-
re-rank the
Okay, hold on.
ladies
Hold
in the
on.
fucking.
Here's my new ranking.
Yep.
Army Marines, Coast Guard females,
Yeah.
Air Force Navy, Coast Guard males.
There it is.
There's my new rank structure.
It's true. They did because I gave them like my friends were like, "Are you sure you want to go? Like, why don't you try?" So we pulled into Tahiti, and I was like, "All right, I'll try again, and I'll make sure." Nope, haven't slept with a guy since.
There you go.
Dude. Wow. Fucking
So-
betas ruined it
So,
for dudes.
so,
Jesus.
so
have
she
to- I
went
have to
dark
ask a
in the
question.
Coast Guard,
Yep.
went civilian, and then went dark for the government again.
I have to ask a question.
Go
I see a
ahead.
trend.
Is it like not looking back changed?
You mean to girls?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it like a permanent fixture?
He's
Or
saying,
is
what
it-
are the chances?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Guys, she's wearing a flannel. If that didn't give it away, I don't know what the fuck did.
Yeah, there's probably no going back. But I what's funny is, I went to Baghdad for 6 months, and it's all of, again, these guys that are protecting us, and they're contractors, and they're all like
They're not the betas.
ripped, playing volleyball like without their shirts on, and all this tanning,
Tan
ops. And I'm like, I texted my friend after a couple days and said, "Oh God, maybe I don't know." And so I had a few offers and
All I
still
know is-
declined, but
Look, we have the camera and
had
everything
I been
turned
up
off.
there long enough,
But I
then
will say
maybe.
this. This girl's got enough game that the flight home, the flight attendant didn't charge our entire row for drinks, and she was the one placing the orders.
Yeah, it is.
So,
There it
that's
is.
all I'm going to fucking say, all right?
Nice. Nice.
Well,
And
here's
about
what-
halfway through the flight, I was like, this is a girl that needs to be on the show. Like, this is, we're going
yeah.
the right fucking
Well,
direction.
here's what I've learned recently when I'm swiping on the bitches on Tinder. There's a lot of lesbian flight attendants.
Yes, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much all.
So I think that
Do you know
we
why? It's
might
a
have
safe
had
bet. You're not going to end up with a fucking souvenir that you fucking don't want
You're
to
gonna
take.
Yeah.
ruin your career.
Wear a
dude. Shit.
helmet. Nobody wants a trophy.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Two of us have children.
Wow. Well, on that note,
Sarah, thank you
so much for coming to be on the show.
Like, really enjoyed it. Fucking
Great.
thank you for taking the time to come over here and like bullshit with these fucking degenerates and me.
For sure.
before we get to the toast, though, I do think it's important. It is Veterans Day. I think it's awesome that we're all celebrating. We all have friends, family, people that are important to us that can't celebrate today
Correct.
because they didn't come home. And not to get totally morose, but I think it's important on this day too that we make sure we raise our glass for those guys too because they can't be here to raise that one. So this next sip to those boys that we all miss and we all love, and girls, all of you.
For sure.
Absolutely.
We love you all. So this next drink's for you.
Yep.
Salud.
Yeah, the bad side to the Alaska deployment is we did lose a very close friend of ours doing a search and rescue operation. He was gravely injured on November 11th,
Oh shit.
and then we medevaced him off. And unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries in mid-December of 2013. So
Damn.
November 11th's a rough day for all of us that, we talk about those stories. But yeah, so cheers
Yep.
to him.
So
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that we'll call that dude a freedom friend. I don't think
Fucking
that's a problem
absolutely.
saying that fucking shit
That's
at
a
all.
freedom friend right there.
I know the Marines. This last weekend was a rough weekend for you guys.
Yep.
There was a lot of really honorable, outstanding warfighters that kicked some ass, but unfortunately couldn't keep doing it afterwards.
Yep.
So we love you guys. Let's get on a more positive note. I would like to thank all of you beautiful bastards for being my Freedom Friends, and to our new Freedom Friend who we met today. Thanks for being on the show. We absolutely
you.
love it.
Awesome.
And smash that like button, share it all, and as always,
Smash the shit out of it.
Yeah.
absolutely
No shit.
that like button, that
And-
share button, that subscribe button, hit
and
the
give
little
us money.
bell too.
Mike,
all
I
that
was gonna
good
say, Mike, anybody got a pimp today?
Let's see here.
And if you
let's see
don't
here.
like,
Traeger, give
if
us
you
money.
don't know this, touch the girl button too.
Yeah,
Like,
scissor that son of a bitch.
Scissor that motherfucker.
Scissor the girl button.
I have so many new jokes now.
You have
Now,
no
like,
idea.
I can bring the whole Scissor Sisters into the Coast Guard, and it's not just the Navy anymore.
100%. It's fucking awesome.
oh,
So, but as always, I encourage all of you to smoke on, drink on, and freedom the fuck on.
So
Here's
good.
to you, boys.
We will see you all next time. Same bad place, same bad channel. Later.